figure. And I have to say that I am very excited to see this movie 42, which I've not yet seen. There are many facets to Jackie Robinson's story. Of course, we all know that he broke the color barrier, but there's a long and storied history of Jackie Robinson that comes before that and after that, and that's sort of the story of some of the critiques of that movie, that it doesn't go into enough of the details outside of that one affair. It turns it into sort of an individualistic hero narrative, that being centered on Jackie and Branch Rickey. But as Dave Zirin notes in the Nation, this was an issue of this was someone who was essentially a pragmatist. This was someone who came from the Deep South, who did what he could in the best way that he thought he could. It's been noted that Jackie Robinson was in part chosen because he was a college graduate. He was quote-unquote articulate by white America's standards, and that this was someone who would be a presentable person to break the color barrier. One of the issues that the movie does not address is that Branch Rickey, basically in the course of integrating the major leagues, put out of business the old Negro leagues, and you'll excuse that expression, it is the proper term for the all-black American baseball leagues at that time, the segregated leagues, which were at that time multi-million-dollar black-owned businesses and a tremendous source, important source of black wealth. Well, Branch Rickey really destroyed the Negro leagues, making no effort to allow them to transition, but just stole their best players without properly compensating them. So there's that. And in addition, there's a complexity here. Malcolm X called Jackie Robinson, someone who was not militant enough, someone who was too conciliatory with white people, and Jackie Robinson gave it to him right back. He said to him, "It's easy to be militant on a street corner in Harlem, but try doing that in Birmingham, Alabama, where I'm from." Well, Malcolm X didn't have a really good response to that. So, I mean, that's an interesting point right there.
Well, and Daniel, one of the things that so intrigued me about the movie is that it's hard to sort of imagine the abuse that Jackie Robinson got, but there's one particular scene where they're playing, I think it's the Philadelphia Phillies, and the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies is literally standing there outside the dugout yelling the N-word at Jackie Robinson over and over and over as Jackie Robinson is at bat. And on top of that, the Phillies pitcher is throwing at Jackie Robinson's head, not giving him anything to hit with. And it's just, the fortitude that it took for Jackie Robinson to put up with all of that. When, baseball is such a difficult sport to begin with and requiring the sort of the full concentration. But can you imagine if somebody, say in our case, suppose somebody, Daniel, was shouting all sorts of anti-Semitic things at you when you're trying to hit a 93-mile-per-hour fastball. And the ability to sort of just tune that out or to try to tune it out, it's just remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, David, I'm not much good at hitting a 93-mile-an-hour fastball without the ethnic slurs. But with them, I can only imagine it would be that much worse. And, of course, I believe Ennis Slaughter for the St. Louis Cardinals was known to aim for his head and hit him in the head. And I don't know if that's the picture that was depicted, but the picture that was depicted rather in the film hitting him in the head. But that was another way that he was targeted. I mean, he's an extraordinary figure. Think about Rosa Parks, and she's certainly a hero, but that was one moment. And this was over the course of months and, in fact, years. So that's really that's something to think about.